After scoring $500,000 from oil and gas interests, Governor Hochul wants to allow utilities to burn fossil fuels for decades longer than they currently have permits to do so. This is the great state of New York. Here's the details thanks to Julia Rock from The Lever, one of our partners here for this reporting. So here we go. The governor's office wants to place a provision into the state's $230 billion budget that will change how the state counts methane emissions, allowing energy companies to include more natural gas in their energy mix while still complying with the state's climate laws. Ain't that somehow they can just change the rules of the game, baby? They don't want to change the rules of the game for the everyday people, but they gonna change the rules of the game for their owner donors always. It doesn't matter if they Democrats or not. If they part of the latte liberals or the brunch bunch, this is what you get. You know, Fran, I mean, that's it.
I heard you say that.
The brunch, listen, we need to do, some people, the Brady bunch, with all the
latte liberals and the brunch bunch is great.
The brunch bunch and the latte liberals. That's what they are. I'm trying to keep it PG as much as I can. And so
it's good.
It's a 4-letter word every other time. So I'm thinking of creative ways, but that brunch bunch, that's what she is part of. Two of Hochul's administration officials. Now you talk about having your own cheerleaders, Francesca. Two of Hochul's administrative officials had the nerve to write an essay, an op-ed supporting the proposed change. Now you want to talk about insider? You couldn't get an outsider, but no, 2 people from your administration. This is how Kathy Hochul is delivering climate action and affordable energy. Oh Lord, and I can't believe US Today allowed them to do that, but here we are. Now here is what they wrote. We're confident that the final budget will shape up to include historic climate commitments, including an economy-wide cap and invest program, ways to accelerate our development of renewable energy and our transition to all electric buildings so we can ultimately reach our climate goals while ensuring affordability for New York families. Now, as a reminder, because we got to walk back down memory lane and put all of this stuff into context. In 2019, New York passed the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which triggered the most ambitious requirements in the country for how quickly the state should decarbonize its economy. It requires the state to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and achieve net zero emissions by 2050. But here's how Governor Hochul is trying to just kind of sneak around that. Governor Hochul is backing a provision that would use an accounting trick to allow the state to continue burning natural gas for decades longer under the CLCP. That state calculates the impact of climate emissions over a 20-year period. One of only 2 states that does this. Hochul's proposed change would revise that to a 100-year period. Again, thank you, Julia Rock. The provision would benefit natural gas producers and utilities because it would impact how methane, the primary component of natural gas, is treated by law. Finally, Hochul's office said the accounting changes are necessary to keep costs low for utility customers. Always they're gonna use that keep costs low. The hell with the environment and the climate. The hell with it, because that's pretty much what they're doing here. Her office also said the cost of the CLCPA hadn't been fully analyzed. But what's the cost to the environment, Governor? That's the cost that the people of the great state of New York need to know. They also need to know that you're controlled by your owner donors, chick. And here's the kicker, during her 2022 campaign, y'all go ahead and put Francesca up too. During her 2022 campaign, the governor received, y'all sitting down for this or you standing up? One of the two. During her 2022 campaign, the governor received more than $480,000 in donations from utility and fossil fuel executives and lobbyists. Do you think this is why the governor is doing what she does? It might be that almost $500,000 flipping dollars that she received from the industry, Francesca. I don't know. I mean, the math is mathing just fine on this one. Follow the money.
I mean, and it's a perfect example of why we get stuck with, right-wing pseudo-fascists like Lee Zeldin if because neoliberals and Democratic neoliberals, in my opinion, I mean, we all know Republicans are neoliberals. They're just as economically neoliberal. It's, but the point is that when centrist corporate Democrats don't act and they renege on their promises like they do time and time again and accept all this money and talk out of both sides of their mouth, what happens? People lose faith in them. And no, they might not vote for the opposition, but they're gonna stay at home, right? And then of course, young people get blamed. You should have come out for what? For this mealy mouth, like BS, which is completely like going back on everything that she promised. And here's the thing about climate change and climate legislation. It's tough. I know it's tough. It's very tough. Why? Because unless you are willing to raise taxes on the uber wealthy in your state and redirect that into actually investing in communities, giving them, let's subsidize those costs. If the costs are going up, subsidize them with what? With the taxes that you're gonna tax the super wealthy in your state, right? Okay, you don't wanna do that? Why don't you slap the fossil fuel industry with a tax themselves? Why don't you make them pay it? But they'll never do that because the way our political system works, that is completely dirty with fossil fuel money, is they reinvest in buying themselves politicians. And then the cycle just repeats all over again. So, oh my God, Nina Turner, we are stuck in this, terrible, terrible cycle of corruption and climate chaos. And we're not getting out of it because no one has the guts.
There it is, no intestinal fortitude. I want to get off this hamster wheel, I tell you that. That's it. And when you get neoliberals, and you're right, Republicans are neoliberals as well. Those types, that mentality is the same, it's different sides of the same coin, and people end up losing. So we gotta ask ourselves, what is the cost to our country and to our world if our leaders, and that's community by community, state by state, and nation by nation, does not finally decide to collectively do something to heed the warning that Mother Earth is giving us every single day. And she is warning us that as people, the human beings on this planet, we're messing it up. I was gonna say the other word. We're messing it up. Y'all go ahead and put that F in there. Yeah, royally messing it up. But that's just because that's the reality today doesn't mean it has to be the reality tomorrow. We're gonna keep you up on this. We have to, because we only got one Mother Earth.